Disclaimer, this video does not contain any jump scares. This is the first video on a channel simply named Somebody, and this channel fascinates me to no end, so today I'm going to talk about why that is. I came across this channel while lurking around a subreddit for another creator in the horror space. The person who wrote the post suggested this creator take a look at this particular channel. They suggested that it could be an ARG or alternate reality game. I clicked on the link which took me to the video that I just showed you, and I've been fascinated ever since. There are currently 16 videos on the Somebody channel, and all of them follow the exact same formula. A picture or video of a desolate place with a VHS filter put over it and music in the background. And something about this formula is intensely captivating to me, and I'm obviously not the only one because some of these videos have over 1 million views. The most common sentiment shared in the comment section is that these videos make them feel both scared and comforted, like they're waiting for a jump scare that never comes. And I have to admit that the first time I watched these videos, I felt the exact same way. I was nervous the entire time because I kept waiting for the scare. But like I said, that jump scare never comes. So I'm going to go over each video and see if there's any sort of story or connective tissue that I can put together. But first, as always, please go support the original creator. I will link the channel in the description of this video. You can watch all of their videos in just a few minutes. It's a really unique channel, and whether there is some sort of grand story here or it's just someone posting their Blender projects, I'm sure that you can take something away from it. Also, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. I cover internet horror and horror literature. This is my first video that isn't about a written work, so wish me luck. But enough intro, let's see if we can make sense of something. Our first video is of a marble statue of an angel that seems to be outdoors given the tree we can just barely see next to it. This religious imagery will become a running theme throughout the channel, and as pointed out by a commenter, it certainly evokes a similar feeling to the popular analog horror series, The Mandela Catalog. I believe this overlapping imagery is as deep as this connection runs, however. Even if the creator of this channel was inspired by the Mandela Catalog, and if they like internet horror, then there's a good chance they were, it's not much more than an aesthetic inspiration. The music in the background of this video is Infinity Frequencies by A Faint Signal. It's just the same 4 or 8 bars repeated over and over again, which is a theme with most of the music on this channel. It has a very lo-fi feeling to it. My immediate thought when I heard this was Skinamarink. I haven't seen that movie since I saw it in theaters, but this video gives off a very similar vibe to what I remember from it. Our next video is just over 3 minutes long, and just like with every video on this channel, it doesn't have a title. I'm not entirely sure what the copyright situation is regarding these videos, so I will mostly be showing still images and maybe putting the music in there if it doesn't get copyright claimed. If it does, then I will be describing the music, so hopefully you can get a feel for what it sounds like. Editing Davis here. There were issues with the copyright on these tracks, so I'll be replacing it with Zero Escape music, which is pretty spooky in its own right, but please go watch the original videos to get the full experience if you still want that. But this video is also completely still. We have a man looking over a city, and my first thought was that this is some sort of post-apocalyptic scene, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It looks like there are lights in the windows of the buildings that we can see. The lone figure in the image is also framed so as to appear very small. There's nothing menacing about him. Add in the sad, ethereal music of a risen archive, and you have what strikes me as a rather somber scene, like our figure is an outsider looking at a world he can never be a part of. This video lacks the religious imagery of the previous one, and for me personally, it makes the video seem a lot less menacing than the one with the angel statue. Now obviously, for the most part, religious imagery isn't inherently scary, but the connotation that religious imagery is taken in a post-analog horror world adds some menace to it. Our next video shows us an empty shopping cart parked on the sidewalk in front of a sliding glass door belonging to one of the many houses on this particular street. There is a light on inside the house which seems to indicate that there is someone inside. Everything outside this house is uninviting and industrial looking. The shopping cart, the identical houses, and the power lines. The music is noticeably more simplistic this time around. Whereas before we had more complex melodies and atmospheres, this track is harsh and uninviting. When I look at this image, I am struck by the idea that while this lighted house might be the most inviting aspect of this picture, it still strikes me as rather cold. And I keep going back to this thought that if our escape away from this oppressive, fabricated, cold industrial world around us is just another manufactured home, are we really escaping anything? A home is made from the memories and lived experiences of those living there, and while this house is the most inviting aspect of the image, can we really call it a home? I don't know if we can. Our next video reinforces the concepts that I was playing with for the previous one. We see a standing lamp in the corner of a room with white walls and 4 identical windows. We can see what seems to be a light in the leftmost window. We don't know whether it is coming from outside or whether it is a reflection from a light behind the camera. The music is more expressive this time, but still melancholy. The room that we are looking at is as basic as it comes. There is nothing unique here, nothing with history. I have to think that it's intentional that everything here is so basic. The creator of this channel is clearly artistically talented, so the bland decor seems to be a deliberate choice. Part of me wonders if the artist was hoping to tap into something universal with these videos. The standing lamp in particular is one that can be found in pretty much any home. I mean, I literally have a very similar standing lamp at the edge of the frame here that you can see. The other week, I read a horror novel called Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. That novel ends with the lines, "and it's not a house, and it's not a home." I can't help but feel those words are appropriate for what we're seeing right now. Our next video is a shift away from the drab, manufactured houses we've seen before. This time we have something more abstract. 2 glowing figures standing in the woods. The trees around them are widely spaced apart, but the top of the frame shows what looks to me like a thick canopy of interconnected branches. The 2 glowing figures stay entirely still for the length of the video, though the VHS filter plays tricks on your eyes, making it almost seem like they're moving just a tiny bit. The music is more dreamlike this time around. There isn't anything menacing about it. Its calming atmosphere makes the glowing figures seem more inviting and less intimidating. The fact that the figures are glowing is certainly interesting to me. Light has played a part in pretty much every video on the channel so far. The light given off by the figures could indicate that while they're in an unfamiliar place, these dark barren woods, they have each other to guide them through. If we were to look at this through a more sinister lens, however, these figures could be enticing the viewer to get closer. They're the only light in these woods, and the viewer is drawn to them like a moth to the flame. Our next video is the most disconcerting to me so far. We see a large field with identical houses spaced around at random intervals, with the 2 houses closest to the viewer touching. The way that the windows are arranged almost make the houses look like blank, staring faces. This is especially noticeable with the houses in the top right corner of the image. I think this is what makes me so uncomfortable. We have these blank faces staring at the viewer placed around this field in a kind of nonsensical way. My mind has always gotten a little freaked out when looking at a picture that I can't quite make sense of. It's why early DALL-E AI images always made me uncomfortable. This image gives me that exact same feeling. I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at here, but I know that I don't like it one bit. So of course, excellent work yet again from the artist behind this channel. I feel like the music in this video is more unsettling, but it could very well just be that the picture itself is making me think that. Again, if I can put the song in without getting copyright claimed, then let me know what you guys think. Our next video is probably the most abstract of the series, and this is the first that includes a video, not just a picture. It's nothing too crazy, just some falling snow, but it's a nice touch. We see a snowy field under a red sky. The music is more calming this time around. I guess the snow on the ground could be interpreted as ash if you want a more sinister view of this scenario. This video interests me because if not for the red sky, this would be a very mundane scene. I used to live out in eastern Idaho, and this is what it looks like 9 months out of the year. The red sky is there to tell us that something isn't quite right here, that this world isn't our world. Like with all these videos, it almost seems like we're interlopers peering in on a parallel Earth. If you were someone who's read the first few videos that we've covered as some sort of post-apocalyptic scenario, this video would only serve to support that interpretation. Moving on. This next video is what I would call the first explicitly terrifying video on the channel. We see an empty grocery store with a refrigerated section of the shelves casting light on 2 milk cartons on the linoleum floor. The music is incredibly unnerving. The low, chaotic rumble makes the entire situation feel sinister. As soon as this video started playing, my mind was telling me to get away as soon as possible. And that's a feeling that I don't get very often. In fact, the last time I got it was when a commenter posted a link in the comment section of one of my videos and I clicked on it. And I can't remember exactly what the video was, because I only saw it for like 2 seconds before I clicked away, but I think it was a girl standing next to a mirror and just staring at the camera, and then she takes a step towards the viewer. And that's as far as I got before I closed the tab, muted the comment, and removed the video from my watch history. I was so immediately scared that my mind went into pure survival mode. So if the person that made that video was just like a fan of mine and there was nothing actually scary in the video, then I'm sorry for muting your comment, but if you meant to scare me, then major props. While this video doesn't scare me nearly as bad as that one did, I definitely had a visceral reaction to it that I wasn't expecting after the first few videos I watched on this channel. Also, at the very end of the video, you can see a figure in the darkness for a brief moment. This definitely just looks like Slender Man to me. Maybe it's just a cool little Easter egg. But again, this does seem to lean into the post-apocalypse vibe that we've seen in a few videos. Unlike the previous videos that I've talked about, there is nothing inviting about this scene. Our next video is the de facto Christmas episode of the channel. We see an outdoor Christmas tree, 2 candy canes, and a Santa lawn decoration, and the music is a slowed down Jingle Bells. This was definitely a welcome reprieve from the terror of the last video. Some of the comments say that this video makes them feel uncomfortable, but I personally don't feel that way at all. There's something about the quiet falling snow and the decorations that remind me of Christmas growing up. My dad had an old video camera that took grainy footage just like this, so there are a lot of videos of my siblings and I waking up on Christmas morning and running down the stairs to see our presents, and this video gives me that same cozy vibe. I do wonder if there are people that watch these videos that are young enough to not have experienced these old video cameras. Do these videos still feel nostalgic to them? Because if you didn't grow up watching grainy home videos, then you could very well just associate this aesthetic with horror. I was born in '99, so I've got a good amount of nostalgia for this kind of thing. But if you are a viewer who isn't nostalgic for this kind of thing, then let me know what you think when you see this grainy VHS footage. Our next video feels like it was heavily inspired by the backrooms. We have an empty room with a single support pillar that has a TV mounted to it. The TV is an old CRT, so it seems like the artist wants to keep our mindset planted in a time period besides modern day. The music is more vaporwave with nothing standing out to me. The TV plays static, which might fill you with a sense of dread if you've seen The Ring, but again, this is what Channel 3 used to look like on my old TV before you turned the Nintendo 64 on, so it's not that freaky to me. This video is hiding something that could be a little creepy, however. At about 3/4 of the way through the video, the TV changes to a blurry image of a face. Just before the TV cuts back to the static, you can see the words "nobody is somebody" on the screen for a split second. You have to slow the video down to really notice it though. This is certainly one of the more interesting things we've seen in these videos so far. Taken on its own, the statement doesn't really mean anything, but we have to remember the name of the channel. "Nobody is somebody" could be a message from the artist telling us that they don't exist. The channel is somebody being created by nobody. To me, I almost read this as an endorsement of the death of the author philosophy. If you aren't aware, death of the author refers to the idea that authorial intent does not matter in a piece of art. Put simply, each viewer or reader's interpretation of something is just as valuable as the creator's interpretation. One of the most well-known examples of death of the author is Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken, the famous poem that starts with "two roads diverged in a yellow wood." It's one that many people interpret as encouraging the reader to take the more difficult road, the path of most resistance, that choosing to work through those struggles makes you grow. The poem ends with "two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference." But while this inspirational interpretation may be widely accepted today, Robert Frost originally wrote this poem as a joke for one of his notoriously indecisive friends. The poem is telling the reader that fretting over these decisions that don't really matter is just costing you time that you won't get back. The fact that the narrator gives so much attention to this decision is the joke. But again, Frost's original interpretation and intent have been mostly cast aside in favor of a different reading. Death of the author would assert that both interpretations are equally valid. All of this to say that "nobody is somebody" could be a message to the viewer that there isn't one interpretation that the artist intends. Our interpretation of their work is just as valid. Our next video is a more abstract scene. We have what looks like apartment buildings standing tall in a snowy part of the world. The buildings are very narrow, which is a bit strange. Usually you would expect construction like this to be found in densely populated cities. The compact nature of the infrastructure necessitates building narrow apartments like this. But here, there is plenty of space. Despite that, the buildings are still built like they need to fit in somewhere. To me, this speaks to how each of us act to conform to the world around us. We may feel the need to temper our artistic pursuits or passions or personalities. There's work to do, and anything beyond that is just wasting time. We box ourselves into a version of ourselves that still has room to grow. There is space around us to pursue those hobbies and personalities and passions, but we may have been taught that those pursuits are silly or worthless. I promise you they're not. But potentially the most interesting part of this video is at 1 minute and 14 seconds where someone jumps off of one of the buildings before the tape glitches out for a second. The way that the body falls makes it obvious that these images are being rendered in an animation software. My guess is Blender, but I really don't know much about information, so take that with a grain of salt. It's certainly a spooky scene, but something about the way that this entire video is presented actually doesn't scare me at all. The person who jumps almost looks like they're skydiving. This is another testament to just how much heavy lifting music can do to set the tone. It can make an empty grocery store terrifying and someone jumping from a building mundane. Our next video is a notable departure from what's come before. This one features video footage from a handheld camera going through what looks like a country road. We see a cornfield, a dirt road, and various shots of some trees. This video definitely puts me on edge. I'm constantly waiting for something to jump out and scare me. The shot in the cornfield was especially tense for me. I kept waiting to see something come down that dark corridor, but it never does. These videos contain no jump scares. There is a very Blair Witch feeling to this one, and while a lot of the comments find this one calming, I am definitely unnerved by it. It reminds me of the McKinney Family Home Video series. But for all of the emotions that I feel watching this video, the video itself is rather innocuous. That seems to be a running theme with what we've seen on this channel so far. The next video goes back to the static camera angles that we've seen before. This time, we are put in a sterile, empty hospital, and the music feels somewhat dreamlike. After a few shots, we see a light at the end of the hallway moving from right to left. This light appears in most of the remaining shots throughout the rest of the video. This light looks similar to the one that we saw in the window of the video with the empty room and the house with the 4 identical windows. There might be a connection there. An empty hospital definitely gives off some post-apocalyptic vibes. Hospitals are pretty much always full of people, so it's slightly unnerving to see one so quiet and calm. I'm reminded of The Exorcist 3, which takes place primarily at a hospital. That movie contains one of the best jump scares ever created, so of course my mind was on edge the entire time I was watching this video. The commenters seem to feel calmed by these images, however. Most of them feel some sort of comfort in these empty locations and don't feel threatened by the lights at all. This definitely caught me off guard, as I associate hospitals with anything but a calming feeling. Although I suppose an empty, serene hospital could be satisfying for precisely that reason. The next video contains various shots of an abandoned city. I was immediately reminded of Chernobyl, and we have balls of light floating around once again. The music this time around is less threatening. I think the openness of the city contributes to my lack of fear when watching this one. I don't feel like anything is going to jump out at me. The glowing balls are certainly interesting and seem to be a staple of this channel. Maybe there is some sort of alien race that is examining the wreckage of a ruined Earth. We often assume that an alien species would follow the same rules as the species found on Earth, but some postulate that they may be far more abstract than we expect. These balls of light could be looking at what we left behind, wondering if there's anything here worth sticking around for. Maybe this cold desolation is inviting to them. This next video has potentially the most striking image on the channel. We see a church where veiled figures sit on the pews. The music is more neutral than anything. What's interesting about this video is that this is a real church in the Czech Republic. The St. George's Church was built in 1352 and has stayed in use for centuries. In 1968, the roof collapsed while a funeral was being held inside. This led to locals refusing to go into the church again. They said the collapsing roof was a bad omen. The church lay in disrepair for many years until a local artist decided to try to raise funds to restore it. The local art student decided to make these ghost figures for his thesis project. The worshippers now sit there permanently, a relic of the time when the church was left to the elements, only attended by the dead while the living stayed away. Since this refurbishment, the church has become somewhat of a tourist destination, with locals viewing the art installation as a positive experience. While it may seem frightening at first, the church is viewed as a happy place by those that live around it. This fits well with the ideas that have been presented with the channel so far. Anything can seem mundane, calming, or horrifying depending on the way that it's presented. While this image may seem frightening at first glance, it is one of the most harmless on the channel. Yet again, we see that our views are shaped by the presentation of the scene, not the content of the scene itself. This next video is the last video and most recent upload on the Somebody channel. It was uploaded 3 months ago, and it is unclear whether the artist will be creating any more content. This one is an image of a marble statue. Music plays in the background that sounds hopeful to me. While the aesthetics of the beginning of the song might be eerie, the melody is calming. I find it interesting that the first and last videos uploaded on this channel are very similar. Both of them are images of a stone statue with a VHS filter over them, while music plays in the background. I'm tempted to say that this indicates that we have come full circle. We've seen everything that somebody wants to show us, and now we have to make sense of the pieces. So what do these pieces mean? What have we learned so far? Is there a grand narrative here? What is the point of Somebody? Before we talk about that, let's take a detour for a moment. I promise it's important. In 1921, Swiss psychiatrist Hermann Rorschach created what is now known as the Rorschach test. The test entails showing the subject a series of perfectly symmetrical abstract groupings of ink blots and asking the subject about their feelings and interpretations of each image. That's an oversimplification of it, but the idea of the Rorschach test has crept its way into pop culture. It's an idea that is explored a lot in media today. Now we associate the term with being presented with something from which no concrete conclusions can be drawn, and the associations our mind creates creates in the blank space where those conclusions should be. You might see these ink blots as an upside-down butterfly, I might see them as a pair of human lungs, but both of those are my ideas. You might see something that I'm completely unable to see. Because the human mind is shaped by millions of different experiences and interactions. When presented with the abstract, the resulting conclusions are often wildly different from person to person. Back to the Somebody channel, I think that whether they intended to or not, they have created something of a Rorschach test here on YouTube. I would imagine that when I was giving my interpretation for these videos, you thought that some of my interpretations were a stretch, and maybe that a few of them didn't make any sense at all. That's because there really are no concrete explanations to draw from any of these videos. The images are abstract. The only time something is explicitly scary are the few hidden images that we discussed earlier. If you read through the comments of any one of these videos, you will find wildly different opinions and interpretations of the exact same scene. Some people say they feel calmed, some are scared, some are inspired to create, some are lulled to sleep, some are looking for an ARG, some are convinced there is nothing there. In a post-analog horror YouTube landscape, viewers are conditioned to search for meaning in the meaningless. This can't just be a series of vignettes, it needs to be analyzed and discussed. Grainy VHS footage of a church can't just be an aesthetically pleasing video, it has to be sinister, it has to be connected to the Mandela catalog, it has to contain horror. I think that Somebody is just somebody's art project, a place for them to test out their animation skills, a place to make some atmospheric content for people to enjoy. And the channel has done an amazing job at accomplishing that goal. There are thousands of comments talking about how much they enjoy the artistry and how it makes them feel. When I first saw these videos, I was expecting the comments to be full of weirdos like me trying to put together pieces of a puzzle that doesn't exist, but it looks like I'm in the minority. So in the end, although inadvertently, this video analysis of Somebody wasn't an analysis of somebody else at all. It was an analysis of me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is a little different than what I normally do, but this channel intrigued me so much that I knew I needed to cover it. If you haven't subscribed yet and like what I do here, then please subscribe. I make videos about horror literature, internet horror, and the SCP Foundation. My goal is to hit 100,000 subs by the end of 2025, and I could use all the help I can get. If you'd like to see more content like this, then please let me know in the comments below. If you're a new viewer to this channel, then please go check out some of my other videos. I've got a video on the SCP This Is Where I Died that I'm really proud of. If you're somebody who's interested in the SCP Foundation, know that all my videos talking about it are from a very entry-level perspective. You don't need to know the lore of the greater universe. I'll take you through all of that myself. If you're a returning viewer, then let me know what you thought of this change of pace for the channel. Also go support the Somebody channel by watching their videos and coming to your own conclusions. I know that most of you guys are here for the creepypasta stuff or the horror literature stuff, but I just thought that making a video on this to talk about kind of how an analysis of any given abstract piece of art is almost more of an analysis on the person analyzing that thing, if that makes any sense. I just thought that'd be a fun concept to explore, and this channel gave me a great opportunity to do that. If you want to support me further, then consider becoming a channel member. For just $3 a month, you'll get access to my Discord, members-only videos, early access to all my videos, and access to my members-only book club. You'll also get your name in the credits of all my videos like you're seeing on the screen right now. A massive thank you to all my gold tier members: Amanda Mapes, Lucas Fernando, Chris Lamb, Ezra, Silent Trails, Blue Radio Media, Tyler the Leper, Vic's Corner, MissJoy16, Coco Boko, Cherry, Moonsong Blog, Starlight Pink, Jack Zamore, Amanda Castillon, Lexi, Arcade Link Author, B, The Official Gar, YBab Flow, Hi, Sasso, Zapodapos, Semra, Laura Gonza, Classic Pats Games Plus, Miranda M, Hexmaniac Rafa, Ben Best, Marin Elizabeth, Anexonym, Digital Fox, Issa, Yuthon, Sherbert, Amelia Nomura, Temple, Ellie, Jupiter Rainstorms, Junie, Maddie, Alice Hale, Vesper, Jess, Miley Pop, Abigail Wagner, Sundery Productions, Canadine, Emma Gees, Red, Moss, Maya Sangalang, Site 42, Rylike Bread, and Alicia. Thank you guys so much for your continued support of all the nonsense I get up to here. YouTube can kind of feel like it wants you to be playing like an imitation game at times, but your support allows me to kind of carve out my own voice on this platform. The consistency of your kindness and encouragement just makes it a lot easier for me to make videos that are a little different from what I normally do, which is always really fun for me. Because I truly have no idea whether people will be interested in this topic at all, but I just felt like I had to make this video because the channel intrigued me so much. But now it's time for more Davis Morgan lore. This time I'm going to share another one of my most embarrassing moments, so if you can't handle cringe, then click off the video now. Thank you for watching. But back in high school, I worked at Jamba Juice. If you don't know what that is, it's a smoothie place, and I actually had a pretty sweet job, honestly. I just made smoothies all day. And Jamba Juice sweetens all their smoothies with sherbet since it makes the smoothies creamier and doesn't have like the grain that regular sugar or artificial sweetener has. And there are 5 different flavors of sherbet that you'll use. You have 4 fruit flavors and then vanilla. And one day a customer complained that their smoothie tasted tasted gross, so our manager made it again, but it still tasted gross. And then she discovered that our container of vanilla sherbet had a weird taste to it. It tasted like maple syrup, and she was pretty convinced of this, but she wanted me to taste it to be sure. So she walks up to me with like a little bit of sherbet on the edge of a spoon. You can imagine this pen is a spoon, and she holds it out to me. Now, a normal person would have just taken the spoon from her hands and eaten the sherbet. Unfortunately, that is not what I did. Now, you might be thinking, I know how this story goes. You reached your mouth over and you ate the sherbet off the spoon like a weirdo while she held it. But I didn't do that either. I think what I did was somehow worse. I like reached over and grabbed the sherbet off the spoon with my fingers, and the sherbet wasn't solid. It was very runny, so it just kind of dripped on the floor, and I had to like quickly bring it to my mouth to get like a little taste of it. And it did taste like maple syrup, she was right. But my boss gave me the most disgusted look that I've ever seen. She totally called me on it too, and I had only been working there for like a week, so I wasn't even like comfortable with her yet. Like in most jobs that I've worked, if I'd done something like that, I would have been able to just like laugh about it and call myself a weirdo and do some damage control, but I was completely stun-locked here. It was my first job. So that is one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. I still think about it from time to time, and I cringe every time I do, but it also makes me laugh pretty hard. I think it's kind of a funny story. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much again for watching and listening to my Davis Morgan lore segment, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya. Take me up again, let me see the stars. Is there life on Mars? 'Cause I've run out of luck here on Earth. I'm a wanderer. Another trip around the sun makes these memories flood, and I could wash it down with the atmosphere. You're cool blue and crystal clear. I'm an astronaut flying above, but can't fall in love. Floating alone, brave enough to see the cosmos, too scared to say hello. And I know one day I'll be gold